Viewer discretion is advised.
What up, heel faction? Welcome back to Heel Shit. Why do we call it that? Because bad guys do heel shit. I'm Dark Cordz, that's Draven Grimes, this is HSP, and we're talking our favorite Wrestlemanias, plural, motherfucker. We're going over our favorite Wrestlemanias of all of them. We're also going to talk a little bit about the Piers Morgan panel on Vince McMahon, and we're going to have a little bit of that seal shit. So, let's fucking go!
Cool! Living fast, we ain't slowing down. Always ready to turn heads around. Heel shit podcast, where the bad boys reign. Never following the norm, always causing pain.
Alright. How you doing, brother?
Whether you wanted to do it or not, that little "let's fucking go" you just did sounded very oddly like Tom Hardy's fucking Bane character. Oh,
Well, guess that has to happen sometime.
yes. Oh, today. I'm glad today is almost over. It was fucking Monday. I felt every bit of fucking Monday,
Yes,
and I'm ready for Friday. I am fucking ready.
100%.
Oh, so how are you, my guy?
Yeah, living the dream, you know.
What you're living is the dream. I hate to see what a nightmare is.
Dude, I'm saying. Like, it's been crazy. Just seems like everybody's got a problem all the time, and it's always got to do with me. Oh, something funny today.
Okay.
I started. I kind of went, ooh, this might be good.
Oh,
Unfortunately, it was just we only got to this first half. So when we're leaving my neighborhood, there's construction going on across the street. So
okay.
for a section of the road, it was just one lane.
Mm-hmm.
And this dude, this old, you could tell he was just over it. This old black dude was waving he had the flag, right? And he was like telling cars to come this way, and I pulled up to my stop sign, and he was like, stop. I'm like, yeah, bro, I'm sitting right here. And then he goes, and then every time, like I creep a little bit, like I'll raise my, just to get a better angle, every time I did, stop, like, dude, I'm here, all right, I'm here.
I got you.
So this particular time, the traffic was coming towards him, so I don't know what direction, but it was coming towards him, away from Blanding.
Okay.
So it was going away from Blanding, and it was just them, and he was waving them on, and then he wave, and then this one dude, god damn it, Draven.
Let's fucking go.
So the traffic is coming towards him, and he's like waving him, and then this dude has to turn left into my neighborhood, right?
Okay.
So he gets all confused, and he's like, well, nobody's in the left lane because this is a one-lane road, and I got to turn left. So he came further left, like into. They were driving on. Say they're driving in the middle. He came to the left, and he was gonna go to the inside of the flag waver and turn into my neighborhood.
Okay.
Well, as soon as he started coming this way, that black dude went crazy. He like jumped in front of his car, and he was like, "What are you doing?" Like screaming at this dude. I rolled my window down a little bit, and I heard some shit, and I was like, "Fuck, Miner's in the car."
Oh, damn it!
Otherwise, I would have creeped my ass out just to see if that motherfucker was gonna say something. So, well, it felt like a good way to spend my afternoon, but Minor was in the car, so I couldn't let it
She
happen.
probably would have supported this.
No, she's not a conflict kind of girl.
You couldn't tell. She's trying to be a fucking president, cult leader, whatever. But you know, as soon as that man got off work, he went right to the fucking store. All right, and he's just so over with life. This is what happens.
Come home. I got beans and
Oh,
Beans and bologna. If that don't get you home, I don't know what will.
oh, such good shit. Such good
shit.
shit.
Oh man, so we're talking
Oh,
WrestleManias tonight, bro.
we are. Before we get there, we went and looked at that house today.
Oh shit, yeah. Talk to me about
Yes,
that.
we did. Yeah. I ended up going back and with her, and we went and looked at the house. Very nice house. Very nice neighborhood.
Good.
Let me ask you this: do you have HOA in your division?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Okay. Well, they say they don't have HOA in this subdivision, but they want to throw a fuck ton of fucking fees on you. Like, she showed me a breakdown of it, and I laughed right in front of the I guess real estate agent or whoever the fuck she was. Like, what the fuck is a November commonplace fee? Are you gonna come to my house and fucking clean for me? That sounds HOA to me.
Wow.
And she tried to explain it was like, the little park and the pool and stuff. I'm like, the pool in November. Why the fuck am I paying you to clean that motherfucker? I'm not even gonna use it. Fuck that. I but yeah, the house is very nice. Nice neighborhood, like I said. And they're trying to con you saying it's not HOA when they're basically making you pay an HOA fee. So that kind of irked me, but we're gonna go back this weekend and talk business and see what we can do about it.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But we are talking WrestleManias tonight.
We are talking WrestleManias.
We are. So, ground rules.
Yes.
No WrestleMania. No WrestleMania 2.
Okay.
And no WrestleMania 30. I will immediately get up and I will walk out this motherfucking office. The streak should have never fucking ended. That WrestleMania does not exist in my books. I don't care if Daniel Bryan did fucking win the WWE title that night.
Over it. You're
Fuck you.
just gonna have to get over it.
Well, you better make sure it's the last one because I'm gonna be up, boot scooting, and boogieing out this motherfucker, screaming at my wife.
Tell
and
me,
it's gonna be all your fault.
Your tell me your thought process on how you put your list together.
Well, obviously there's gonna be a little bit of bias on it.
Yeah.
Mine is significance to the fuck.
Well,
Okay. I don't know. It sounds like somebody either got thrown through a wall or fell out the second story window. One of the two.
nice.
Either way, not my problem. The significance of the stories leading into that Mania that year and how it culminated. So right off the rip, I'm going to tell you WrestleMania 40 is my first one we're going to talk about, just because of how everything wrapped up that weekend.
Okay.
All right. Other than that, other than having personal bias, match card, how strong the card was. There might be a couple on here that I consider strong cards that you won't consider strong cards, but it's just stuff we're going to work out.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you come along this? And let's be real, this is not a top 5, top 10 thing. This is just us discussing what we think are important / favorite WrestleManias.
Yeah. And how I did mine was based on moments. What I felt were major moments, not only up to that point, but also set the stage for a bigger future.
Okay.
So I didn't know the cards front to back or anything like that. I just picked out things that had
I may know 4 WrestleManias that I know their cards.
yeah.
So, and I
Yeah,
think
so
1, maybe 2 I'm gonna talk about.
All right, well let's get
Especially
started then.
especially especially once we get into like 2 night events, it's like fuck. I don't remember the whole card for night 1 or 2.
All right. You want to get started?
Um, well, like I said, let's go ahead and start with the biggest elephant in the room. Let's talk about WrestleMania 40 this past year,
Okay.
and how everything just culminated at the end of night 2. This WrestleMania, besides being the first one of the Triple H era,
Mm-hmm.
this one felt like we were watching a movie in real time.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, let's think of night 1 and how that got built up to the tag team match between Roman, Rock, Cody, Seth, and how, we both knew that it was going to eventually be Roman and Rock going over that night because Rock ain't coming back just to fucking lay down for nobody,
Yeah.
right? So we knew it was going to be bloodline rules going into night 2, and then Cody's got to overcome all these fucking obstacles. And what were all these fucking obstacles, right? It was Jimmy, it was Solo, um, Paul Heyman at times, and then it almost, okay. You know how big of a comic book movie fan I am,
Mm.
right? The end of night 2, when all the fucking eggs got scrambled and everything was just going fucking chaotic, it almost felt like we were watching Endgame.
Hmm.
You know, that last major battle
Right.
when everybody got brought back. Yeah, that's kind of how that felt. Because let's run it down. Solo Jimmy's involved. Roman doing what Roman does. Paul Heyman being a fucking god among managers, right? Who's first come out? Fucking Jey Uso knocks out Jimmy, right? Cool. Solo gets involved again. Who comes down? John Cena
John
runs
Shane.
down, takes care of that. Who comes out after that? The Rock. Massive fucking moment between them two. Rock knocks him out. Who was fucking supposed to come out and who did come out?
Mm-hmm.
That's the only letdown. That's the only time I'll ever say I was let down by the Undertaker. The only time. But Undertaker came out and took care of
Rocking.
The Rock,
Mm.
which nobody's going to touch Taker at this point, so he had to powder out. And then the only awkward part of this show was when the Shield music hit. And Seth, God bless that motherfucker, did his fucking best to get fucking position, but his knee was fucking shot, dude. Fucking shot. And I will say for this WrestleMania, Seth was the MVP because he worked basically 3 fucking times.
Right.
He worked night 1 at the main event. He opened night 2
Right.
working Drew McIntyre, and it was one hellacious match.
Mm.
And he had to fucking limp his ass out there in Shield gear and then take a fucking massive chair shot to the back. It was, yeah, Seth was fucking great.
Yeah.
And then that story at the fucking end. Roman had the fucking chair, man. And Cody's right there, and Seth's right there, and he had the opportunity to pull the trigger on fucking Cody and retain his title, but he let personal bullshit get in his way, and he finally took that knife out of his back and put it in Seth's back. A fucking callback to 10 years prior when the Shield got broke up by Seth.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Cody took advantage of that. 1, 2, 3. All the baby faces came out. Didn't even acknowledge Roman as they're coming down the ramp as he's walking up. Nobody fucking acknowledged him. He was defeated. He was no more the final boss,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it was just such a great ending. Probably the best ending to a WrestleMania I've ever seen.
That was a good ending.
Yeah. So
Very good. Very good.
Let's go and get that one out the way. It was just such a great story.
It was. It was beautifully done. And there's such a contrast. We've talked about it before. Even on 39's date night 1 versus night 2, you can just feel the difference
Oh God,
between
yes.
the Vince night and the Hunter night.
And what was bad is night 2 should have outshined night 1.
Yep.
It should have, and it did not. It sucked donkey balls. Other than, if I remember correctly, it was Drew, Sheamus, and Gunther for the IC title,
Mm-hmm.
and then Cody Roman won.
Right.
Other than those 2 matches, everything was dog water. The Edge Finn Balor Hell in a Cell, the John Cena Austin Theory 1-on-1, the Brock Lesnar almost match, everything was dog water except those 2 matches.
Yep. Absolutely. So yeah, no, that's a good one. That's a good WrestleMania. Probably been my favorite one since they went to 2 nights.
You're talking 39?
No, 40.
Okay, I'm about to say.
Yeah.
Now we're going to have to argue here for a minute if you're saying 39 was better than 40 overall.
No.
I'm sorry. We would have to agree to disagree there.
Yeah, no, for sure 40.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get the one you don't want to talk about out of the way. Number 30. Daniel Bryan finally wins the WWE and, well, the Undisputed Championship because they had both belts.
Yes,
it was.
Whatever the fuck it was called. Hold on, I'll find out. Fuck. WrestleMania 30. This hurts my soul to look at. Just so you know.
Yeah, I'm terribly sorry.
Results. It was the WWE World Heavyweight Championship.
Oh, okay.
So they just didn't have a new network logo yet.
Mm-hmm. So
bullshit.
But yeah, no, I thought outside of obviously the Taker loss, take some wind out of it, but for Daniel Bryan to finally have won that belt, and let's be real. I mean, he was even in WWE, even though he was. I don't know if it was purposeful or what, but he was limited in such a way, but he still was the goddamn American Dragon. I mean, push come to shove, he'll out wrestle whoever's in that ring.
Yeah, we'll also think about it. Leading up to this particular WrestleMania, this is when the Yes movement really got that momentum behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I would say mid-February to the first weekend of April, so maybe 5 weeks. They really built a Cinderella dream. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it was beautifully done. And the fact that Daniel had to wrestle 2 matches that night. He had to open the show with Triple H in the match, and then later on go and work Batista and Randy Orton. Which, by the way, props to Randy for taking that fucking TV monitor in his fucking spine and still continuing on. Dude, I thought that was it. I thought that was the end of the match for him.
Yeah, no, that was rough. That was seriously rough.
But another match that was on this show that's really not talked about that much. This was Bray Wyatt's debut at WrestleMania. It was against John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we can debate this back and forth, but this was where I felt John Cena was on that decline going into the part-time thing where Bray really needed the shine from John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would have really pushed him moving forward over the next couple of years, even more so than what he had. Still a great match, but I felt that was definitely the wrong call. But you can also definitely tell that was a Vince call.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because even John has gone on record and saying that night the wrong person went over that match.
Yeah, everybody had crazy respect for Bray.
Yeah, let me see what we got.
So before we move on, let's take our first commercial break. We will be right back. Havoc Energy Drink is the energy drink for gamers and streamers by gamers and streamers. Not only does it have the B vitamins and caffeine that you're used to in your energy drinks, but it also has a healthy dose of creatine for mental acuity to help you win that next game or focus through that next stream. Go to tryhavocenergy.com, enter the code HSP10 at checkout for 10% off your order. Again, go to tryhavocenergy.com, enter the code HSP10 for 10% off your order. Also, if you use the link in the description, you will get your first month free from an Amazon Music Unlimited subscription. It's just $9.99 after that, and you can cancel at any time. Get unlimited access to over 100 million songs at the click of a button and get your first month on the Heel Shit Podcast. All right.
Did we pay the bills?
We paid a couple of them.
We paid the bills. All right. So let's talk about. I don't want to talk about that one yet because that's like my absolute favorite WrestleMania. Save that one for last. You probably know which one that one is.
Was a surprise.
Probably not. Let's talk about the one that me and Rip were supposed to meet at all those fucking years ago. Let's talk about WrestleMania 24.
Okay.
WrestleMania 24. This was the WrestleMania in Orlando in 2008. Sorry. My brain was not working properly. This was the show where the main event was John Cena, Triple H, and Randy Orton for the WWE title. The undercard included Undertaker versus Edge for the World Heavyweight Championship, Kane and Chavo Guerrero for the ECW Championship. There was a scramble match, which I didn't really get two shits about. Fun fact, Rip and I were both there. I was up in the nosebleed sections, so I could barely see anything. So I was literally watching this and then had to go home the next day to actually watch it to where I could actually see all the good shit. But this was their first real test of doing WrestleManias and like football arenas, open arenas. And you know, when you're working, you know, inside venues, the sound travels up and it bounces off the roof and it hits back down, and it's just it's an experience. If you've never gone to a wrestling show like that, it's definitely an experience. Where an open style stadium, you really lose the sound, and you really do. Now, like I said, I was nosebleed. I was like fourth row from the very fucking top, like cheap fucking seats, but I wasn't going to miss it, right? And it sounded this quiet the whole time. This is how bumps sound. That's all it was. Now, obviously, other than the guys around us cheering and booing and throwing up because they had too much to drink, it was still a good show, and I enjoyed it. But it taught me a valuable lesson. If you're going to go to a show, don't sit 300 feet in the air.
Yeah, that generally is a good thing.
Yeah, but the show itself was good. This was also when CM Punk won the Money in the Bank ladder match for the first time. No, excuse me, second time. I forgot he won it at 23 as well. So, all good things. This is one of those things where I wish I was ringside, obviously, for this one. But it was my first live WrestleMania, so it's going to hold a near and dear place to my heart.
Of course.
Yep.
All right, well, let's move from that all the way back to WrestleMania 13. What happened at WrestleMania 13, my friend?
Oh,
the creation of Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Well, I was going to start off with Undertaker winning the WWE title from Psycho Sid, but yeah.
Well, there's that.
That too. But yeah, that was probably the most pivotal moment of what would become the Attitude Era. And a lot of people will say Austin winning the title at 14. I disagree. This is when Austin became the face of the Attitude Era.
100%.
Just that shot of him in the sharpshooter, the blood just drenching his
Him
face,
screaming.
and him literally clawing the fucking canvas, trying to get to the ropes. Like, it felt so real. And it was exact moment, somehow, some way in our minds, where the baby face turned bad and the heel turned good.
Mm-hmm.
So Austin walked in there as the heel, but he walked out the biggest baby face of all time.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Now, how do you feel with that? And Taker and Sid are next up, and they're going, how the fuck are we supposed to follow that?
Right.
Yeah. Now, granted, that wasn't the best WrestleMania main event, because you know how I feel about two big guys going at it.
Mm.
But I felt they did the best they could. A fun fact, though, this was also the night Psycho Sid shit himself, and Taker still had to put him in the tombstone.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, you didn't know that, did you?
No, I didn't.
Yep, he shit himself about 10 minutes in, and for the rest of that match, he took a bump. He hit it hard, and he couldn't control himself, and it came out. and it was on 6 Feet Under about a month or two back. They were talking about it. It's like, when I got him up for it, I was like, man, did he bathe today? And he's like, when he got him in position and his fucking crotch was right there, he saw shit like slip out from his trunks. He's like, oh no, real quick. You see the panic. If you go back and watch the tombstone, you see the panic in his face. Get that out my face.
That's beautiful.
Oh, that was a real shitty night, man. That was a real shitty
sounds
night.
like it.
Oh,
Bullshit.
well, since we're at 13, let's go ahead and talk about 14 real quick, man.
All right.
Because it kind of leads from that into this. Great fucking card. This was pretty much the end of where all these mid-card factions really work together.
Mm-hmm.
DOA, Los Beneo Boys, or what the fuck are they called? Rip's gonna kick my ass when he sees that one. Anyway, all the faction war basically ended there. We had Taker versus Kane for the first time. The build up to that was fucking. It felt real. It felt personal. You know, granted, 7-8-year-old Dravy Wavy here thought, you know, they were actually fucking brothers. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh man. And then I was like, wait, Paul Bear was and like, it was a mind fuck for me, right? But it was that main event that night. It was really the turning point in the Monday Night Wars. Austin versus Shawn.
Mm-hmm.
And who was the special enforcer for that match?
In Shamrock?
Iron Mike.
Oh, that's right.
Tyson.
Mike Tyson. Oh, shit. That's right.
Shamrock was the referee for 13 with Brett and Austin.
Yeah.
And that transcended an entire generation for the next, what was it, 98, 99? Next 5 years that Austin was on top.
Yeah, man.
I mean, what more can you say about it?
Huge show.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's,
what show was Ultimate Warrior and Triple H? I need to figure that out. I don't think it was this one.
Mm-hmm. Who gives a fuck?
I do at this point because it's bothering me.
Yeah.
But go ahead and do yours.
All right. So let's take it back a few more years to the creation of one of the greatest stipulation matches ever, WrestleMania 10. Shawn and yes, sir.
Yeah,
Shawn
buddy.
And Razor for that ladder match. Great match. I mean, the ladder match lived on in infamy. You know, it was one of those. It's one of those feud enders. The ladder match has grown, obviously, to so many other iterations, but
Yes.
I think the creation of that match brings that one into my top.
But fun fact,
Mm-hmm.
the WrestleMania 10 ladder match was not their first ladder match. If you remember correctly, they worked the year prior in a ladder match for the IC title. This was the famous like neon blue tights for Shawn Michaels, where Shawn actually went over on this one. So this was like that one rubber match kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
But it was such a big deal, the fact that this match was on this platform in this arena, that people forget that they actually had a ladder match like 7 months prior to this one.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but still good shit. And correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't WrestleMania 10 where we had Brett versus Owen?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So one of the most technically sound classics ever. Of course, I was an Owen fan, so fuck Brett. Good shit. But if we want to lean into this ladder match gimmick here, we could go to WrestleMania 2000. We can talk about the three-way ladder match between the Hardys, Edge, and Christian.
I almost
And
added that WrestleMania on here,
we
but I
we could,
figured the original one was better.
but we could go that route. But something like this, we need to go 1 year further. I'm talking tables. I'm talking ladders. I'm talking chairs. Oh my, the original TLC WrestleMania 17.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit. Hardys, Dudleys, Edge and Christian, and the fucking 14, which always escapes me.
Yeah.
Don't matter.
Was it
Does not matter.
Morrison and
No. Dude, Morris, dude, this is 2001. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm pulling it up. WrestleMania. No, not 30. Get that shit out my face. I love that anytime I pull up a WrestleMania show, it's always a film on my phone. Let's see results. Oh, it's just the three. I'm thinking TLC 2, the year after they had another tag team. It was Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit on that one. That's what it was. But the original was Edge and Christian, Dudleys, and Hardys.
Mm-hmm. And that was the famous spear in midair.
That was the spear from the ladder to a hanging Jeff Hardy.
Mm-hmm.
But let's look at the other matches that were on. This one is said to be the greatest WrestleMania of all time. Obviously, with the way 40 happened, this can be argued at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But let's quickly go down this card because I feel it's something we need to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Jericho versus William Regal for the Intercontinental title.
Mm-hmm.
How could that ever be a bad match?
Right.
And don't say this current Chris Jericho. Please don't.
No,
Please
back
don't.
then that could go. Yeah.
Yes. Taz and the APA versus Right to Censor, 6-man tag. Dude, just a lot of hard hitting motherfuckers right there. A lot of hard hitting motherfuckers.
Beasts.
Kane and Raven and Big Show triple threat hardcore match.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the funnest matches I ever saw. And that shit went backstage. They beat the shit out of each other. They ran each other over with golf carts. And one thing they've cut out of the network, but if you go find the original VHS, when they're doing the golf cart segment where Raven's trying to run over Kane, in the background you can see Big Show screaming, "Wait up." Because he was supposed to be on the back of the cart and he wasn't there in time. So yeah. Eddie Guerrero versus Test, Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit. This was the famous Shane McMahon versus Vince McMahon, like right after the WCW WWE merger.
Right.
And let's not forget the greatest feud of all time. Stone Cold and The Rock, WWE title. Other than the fucking finish of the match where they try to turn Austin heel, fantastic fucking match.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Yeah, great pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, let's go 1 year later, Rock and Hogan.
WrestleMania 18.
Rock and Hogan was a spectacle in and of itself. That
I'll be
first
on,
2 minutes.
I'll be honest. I remember 3 matches from this one: Rock Hogan, Triple H, Chris Jericho, Taker Flair. Don't ask me anything else about that fucking card. I know Stone Cold was in there somewhere. I don't remember where the fuck he was. Actually, I think he worked Scott
No, that
Hall.
pay-per-view was all Rocky and Hogan. That was what it was. What it was about.
That match should have been the main event.
Mm-hmm.
The fucking main event. There's
100%.
no way anybody should have went on afterwards. I felt that it kind of hurt the main event between Triple H and Chris Jericho because a lot of emotion was just zapped from that crowd,
Yep.
and they were basically just getting the bones from it. I mean, that crowd was still there as much as they could be, but if they just flip flop that shit and had Rock Hogan fucking just be the grand finale, it'd been the greatest fucking ending to fucking WrestleMania, especially with Hogan turning on NWO. If they just fucking finished off that night in the fucking red and yellow, been the fucking greatest ending to WrestleMania up to WrestleMania 40.
Right. Yep.
So let's go 1 year more.
Oh shit.
Let's go to my favorite WrestleMania. WrestleMania 19. Now, this one is purely biased. This was my first WrestleMania ever where I was able to watch it live. And every match I have is like just written in my head. Matt Hardy versus Rey Mysterio for the Cruiserweight title. Fucking amazing. Probably the second worst Undertaker match at WrestleMania history behind Giant Gonzalez, unfortunately. But he still looked strong as fuck. It was a handicap match with Big Show and A-Train.
It was
You
supposed
had
to be. He was supposed to have
Nathan
Morgan
Jones.
with him, or Nathan Jones with him. Yeah.
Yes. But he was just too fucking green, and Taker said, nope, we ain't doing this shit.
Yeah.
But they did do the spot at the end of the match where he came out and did the spin kick and still had his quote-unquote moment.
Yeah.
Trish Stratus versus Victoria, that fucking tore the house down a lot more than I thought it would. You had Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho, their first time touching each other.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking great shit. The most racist match in WWE history, Triple H versus Booker T.
Jesus Christ, that was horrible.
Yes. Great match. It was a great match.
Yeah,
But the build up for it and having to go into his criminal background and pulling all the race cards just wasn't that fucking good.
No.
Hogan versus McMahon finally fucking happened on this show where Roddy Piper came out and said, fuck it, I'm hitting you both in the fucking head with a steel lead pipe. Fuck you. Beautiful
You
shit.
remember that the one scene I remember from that? I don't know if you watched it. I saw it a few times, but that scene where McMahon's head was below the ring and he like comes up with this crazed look in his eye. Yes,
And the blood's just dripping. Yes, dude.
that was
Dude,
they
they actually used that shot to go into the Undertaker feud into Survivor Series. Like that shot when he called himself the devil himself, just like that slow creep of the blood. I was like, oh
yeah, that was a great shot.
Masterful.
Mm-hmm.
This would be Austin's final WrestleMania up to 39 versus The Rock. This is where The Rock finally got his win back.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the most pure wrestling matches in WrestleMania history, Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar for the WWE title. Other than the botched fucking shooting star press.
Which
I
is
feel
crazy because he's hit that 100 times.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I felt this match was flawless, even though Kurt Angle went into this match severely handicapped because his right arm was actually an atrophy because he couldn't use it because of nerve damage. Like, go back and just watch that match. You'll see his left arm is actually bulkier than his right, and he was relying more on his left side. And he still pulled this fucking match off. It was fucking beautiful. Yes, so this was hands down just because it was the first WrestleMania I was ever able to go, can I order this? And like, it's too expensive. And I was like, I got the money. How did you get the money?
there.
I worked for it. Yep, it was $39.99 on DirecTV pay-per-view. I was so proud of myself.
No, that was awesome. The last one that I have written down, although there are a lot of moments that could creep onto this list. Obviously, WrestleMania 1, they broke even at. So that was, at the time, a success. WrestleMania 2 was completely fucking ignorable.
I don't ask you what the card is.
No. But WrestleMania 3 with Hogan, Andre, to me, is why we still have WrestleMania today.
Yes.
That
I can agree with that.
show was finally big enough to where it drew a worldwide crowd. Those two passing the torch to Hogan. WrestleMania 3 created WrestleMania.
Yeah, and let's not forget the other big match on that card. To what I feel was the best match in WrestleMania history. Ricky Steamboat, Macho Man, IC title. That
Unbelievable.
fucking match was amazing. It almost overshadows the Hogan Andre thing, just because we both know they've worked countless times beforehand in other companies, and they work so much better. And again, we talked about on the Vince McMahon documentary with Andre's injuries, and only having to be able to do so much things before his back would fucking give out. Still an amazing thing, but we've seen it before. Let's just put it that way. And the way they just hyped it up is the first time they ever worked each other. It kind of killed it for me a little bit.
A little bit.
Not gonna lie.
I mean,
but
say what you want about the matchmaking, but just the size, the spectacle that would become WrestleMania. Like the WrestleMania 1, there were so many needless celebrities. There was no reason.
Well,
they didn't need Mr. T. They didn't need all this stuff. To me, I mean, Cyndi Lauper was, such a big part of their
started
growth.
I'm gonna say they kind of started the whole rock and wrestling thing with her and Lou Albano. I would argue that point. They needed the draw of all these big time movie stars just to get asses in seats, because before then it was just wrestling. You know what I mean? They needed that extra oomph. So I could see that. Now again, don't ask me about WrestleMania 2. I couldn't even tell you who was on the fucking card.
Weird concept. Like they had it in 3 different places, right? It was just a mess.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna pull it up real quick for like the umpteenth time.
And we went over how you used to have to watch pay-per-views back then.
Closed circuit.
You had to go to an arena, buy a ticket, and watch it on closed circuit. There was no home pay-per-view, nothing. You had to go to an arena.
Yeah, and it was either New York, Illinois, or California.
Yep.
That's where you had to go. Let me see what the card was. I don't give a fuck about any of that. Oh, this was the Mr. T versus Roddy Piper WrestleMania. Yeah, don't give a fuck about that.
I don't even know what the main event was. There was a Hogan steel cage match. I remember that.
Well, this one I might go back and watch. The British Bulldogs versus the Dream Team of Greg Valentine and Brutus Beefcake. I'll probably go back and watch that one.
Yeah.
Terry Funk versus Tito Santana. That was okay. Oh, the main event was Hogan versus King Kong Bundy in a cage match.
Yeah.
Why do I care about that?
But again, these were taking place at separate places throughout the country. Like it wasn't even a cohesive event. Weird.
Yeah, and each one of the venues had 4 matches. So this was a 12-match card. If you like sat there in a movie theater and watched this shit.
Right.
Fuck that, dude. Fuck that. The last thing I want to talk about, this ain't really a WrestleMania show per se, but it was the way they built it using WrestleManias. WrestleMania 25, 26, 27, and 28. Shawn, Taker 1 and 2, 25 and 26, building to 27 and 28 between Shawn and Triple H, which culminated in Orlando at WrestleMania 28. I was there. How it's supposed to be used. Hell in a Cell. The
Yes, sir.
end of an era match.
Mhm.
That was the most perfect usage of the cell. And just, it was one of those things where you had to be there. I'm sure people felt it on TV, but I was probably 50 feet from the cell
Beautiful.
watching this, watching these guys give it their all, and really thinking this was the last time we would see these three guys together.
Right.
Like, it felt special. It was very emotional. I
Mhm.
was very confused about a bald headed Taker for a few minutes,
Yeah.
but it grew on me rather quickly. To the point, I went home and shaved my head and got the fucking bullshit mohawk he had. I was like, this was an immediate mistake.
Dude, the first time I saw him with like that, I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Well, you knew it was coming because they did the vignettes with the fake ass hair
Yeah.
fucking weeks. Like, he even came out a couple times and you could just tell, like, he borrowed that from Kane.
Yeah, that wig ain't good, man.
Oh, no.
That ain't good. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. That was just great. Great storytelling.
the only, I mean, there are some moments that I think were huge. We talked about the triple threat with Daniel Bryan, but
Mm-hmm.
the triple threat with Shawn, and Chris Benoit
Ooh, WrestleMania 20.
was
Yes.
so fucking. That was probably the
That
best triple threat match I've ever seen in my life. Still to this day.
yes. And before anybody starts getting into the fucking DMs and start fucking getting on him about the Chris Benoit thing, we separate the art from the artists on this show.
Yeah, I love
We
Chris
can
Benoit. Or-
yes, Chris Benoit as a talent, as a worker, as a professional wrestler, hands down, top 5 greatest of all time.
Yep.
Hands down. The man and what he became and what he ended up doing is we can't let that go.
Yeah.
Even if CTE was involved and the evidence is out there and he was not Chris during his final days. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But still, this is one of the things where you separate the art from the artist. And I still have to do it whenever I see a Vince McMahon segment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Other
It's
big
the only
moments: the Shawn, Brett Iron Man match. Another
WrestleMania
huge
12. Yep.
huge moment.
Yep. Not only Iron Man match. That Iron Man match went to a 60-minute draw.
Yes.
And they had to go another 10 minutes. Dude, mad fucking respect. But I'm still a Shawn guy.
Yeah. Sure.
Let's see. WrestleMania 21, where the two biggest guys from OVW finally won their respective titles, Cena and Batista.
Yes.
That to me was really the changing of the guard, so to speak.
Following that fuck up at the Royal Rumble that year.
Yes. Wait, are we talking about them two or are we talking about Vince blowing his quads?
Yes.
Okay. Oh.
Vince leaving his quads out in the ring was definitely a highlight, but
yes.
the
And
botch
then
on the ending was.
And then 19 years later, Shane's like, "Watch this, bitch! I'm gonna do it at fucking WrestleMania." Boom.
Dude, that's so crazy. Both
No, what's crazy is Snoop Dogg had a better match than fucking Shane McMahon. That's what's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Right.
WrestleMania 21, you just talked about it. That's where the first Money in the Bank ladder match happened. That started this whole bit of history.
Yep.
Good shit.
All right, let's just take our last commercial break, and we'll come back and we'll talk about topic we don't usually talk about here, the Piers Morgan show. we'll be right back.
Vodka evolved. Castell. Indulge in the red revolution.
Thank you, guys. All right, so Piers Morgan Uncensored, and I guess this happened a little over a week ago.
Happened, yeah, it was like 9-10 days ago.
Yeah. So Piers Morgan Uncensored, whether you like Piers or you don't, and I'm on the fence
He's got good
depending on
shows.
what he's talking about.
I'm about to say, he has good shows and bad.
Yeah, for sure. So on this particular panel, which I thought was really good, it was Jonathan Coachman. It was Charlie, is it Caruso?
Yes.
Charlie Caruso. Vince Russo.
God help us all.
Maven's been kind of a, on his...
Maven's really been blowing up on YouTube.
Yeah.
If you ever have an opportunity, definitely go check out his YouTube. He is a very fair and honest person, and he really shows it in this interview.
Yeah. And then halfway through the interview, they had a surprise run-in from who?
Phil Munchnick.
Phil Munchnick. If you're not familiar, if you haven't watched the Vince McMahon documentary on Netflix, first of all, when you're done listening to this, go watch it. But you'll find out that if you never knew the name before, Munchnick was someone whose entire career was predicated on taking Vince McMahon down, like a personal vendetta. He was a writer for, was it the New York Times or the New York Post?
He's still current New York Post. He's still currently writing for him.
Yeah. So
he's a miserable old fuck, by the way. Let me just go and get that out.
Yeah, he's a miserable old fuck. So it was very interesting. It started out with the four of them minus Munchnick.
Yes.
And they all had a very similar take. They all, it was almost interesting to hear them as they went along, like similar stories throughout. You did not, Jonathan Coachman said he was there 13 years and he said no to Vince once. No's not an option that you tell Vince. If he wants you to do something, you fucking do it. It is the law of the land. And Coach had been in some really stupid shit.
No shit.
Vince Russo,
bro.
Yeah, I took his side in this argument, but it pains me.
It's the only time we ever will. It really is.
Obviously he was the head writer during a lot of the Attitude Era. And then he left to, make more money and fuck up WCW. But even though he was such a tyrant, like even Charlie Caruso said, you lived for his acknowledgement. And he said hi to her one time. Her entire time there.
And she was there for like, I think 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Is what she said.
Like they all said that if Vince didn't want to acknowledge you, even if you said hi, he would just ignore the fuck out of you like you weren't even there. If you weren't making him money, that was the interesting thing about what Maven was saying. Is like he had one less than stellar match, and Vince soured on him forever.
I remember this match. It was him versus Steven Richards.
Yep.
On a Sunday Night Heat, no less.
Yep. And it was a better match than you'll find pretty much anywhere else. It was just a normal mid-card match by WWE standards. And that soured McMahon on Maven forever. But then when Mitch, whatever his name is, Munchnick came on, they all took this very interesting, different posture of like taking up for Vince. Like, they had just spent, the first 10 minutes of this show saying how rough he was to work for, how he ignored most people, how you weren't allowed to say no. And then when this guy comes on, whose mission it was to take down Vince, everyone defended him. What was your thought on that? Because a cynical person would say, well, that sounds like Stockholm Syndrome to me.
Well, one thing you left out on that is before Muchnick got on to the show, the question was asked by Pierce, leading up to the steroid trial, and how Muchnick portrayed the WWF,
Yeah.
not just Vince, but the WWF as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about it? And Maven said, it was kind of a disrespectful thing to kind of put the whole company up under it, because he admitted on this program that he took steroids, and he's very open about it. He's done a whole series on his YouTube, which, by the way, go check it out. Beautiful fucking shit. And he said never once was he ever pressured, he was ever forced. He did that
Right.
on his own merit.
But
right?
let's also take that with this in the sense that by the time Maven came around, it might not have been that same culture.
Well, of course. The closest we're going to get to it is A, Russo, which fuck, and B, Coachman, which I didn't know he's been around since '99.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. And he even said the same thing. The guys that were on the fucking juice were never pressured into it. They were never forced. They did it on their own merit. They went to the doctor. They got the prescription. They did it as safely as they possibly could. It wasn't the same that it was in the early '90s.
Right. Well, that's the thing, is that even from Coachman's perspective, you're talking 8 years removed from the steroid trials. So, I mean,
give or take, yeah.
Yeah. So the question really is not whether guys in the 2000s felt that. It was like in the early 90s, was it known or was it basically a known unknown that if you weren't juiced, you weren't going to be pushed? And it kind of felt that way back then because the big guys got the push. You would have never seen a Will Ospreay there. You would have never seen anybody who's not, Vince's prototypical babyface. Then, so how does that play into it, and how's that differentiation matter as far as what Coach was saying versus what the guys from previous?
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this one, because this wasn't really covered. When was the steroid usage banned? It was either very late '80s or very early '90s. Because I'm trying to remember what they said on the Vince McMahon documentary. But throughout the early to mid into the late '80s, steroids were rampant.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody fucking used them. Everybody was juicing because they wanted that body. They wanted that perfect physique. And that's where that mindset came from going into the '90s. But when the steroid got banned, what happened? Who started getting pushed? The smaller guys, the Harts, the Shawn Michaels, the 1, 2, 3 kids. They all started getting those pushes because they knew they had to get away from that. And Vince was smart enough to know this. He said it himself. Hogan said it himself. Randy Savage, even on occasions before his untimely death, even said it. We were on it because we wanted that. It was never forced on us. Now, how we got it is a different story, but we were never forced to take the juice.
I don't think anyone ever said, you have to do this. I guarantee you no one ever said that.
Munchnick has put out this portrayal that Vince forced his workers to fucking take these steroids.
No, I understand his story, but just from an outsider looking in, I guarantee you they didn't straight up tell their wrestlers to use it. But I think the body of evidence showed that if you didn't have this body type, you just weren't going to make it.
Then, that really just came from the way the locker room was. That wasn't really a Vince thing, though. Yeah, Vince could have put a stop to it.
You don't think he picked the jacked ones to push?
Dude, they were doing the roids before he even got put there. Hogan was doing the roids when he first started in fucking 78. When he was doing the territory.
I don't think we're arguing over the same thing. I'm not saying that steroids weren't always and they were legal until 91.
Yes.
I'm saying that even after 91 or before, at no time did Vince probably say you need to take steroids. But the proof was in the pudding that Hulk Hogan was the guy, that body type, Mr. Wonderful, all those guys, it was that body type, and not, even Ricky Steamboat was too small to be the guy.
I can see where you're coming from on that. I can. At that point, it just becomes the locker room mentality. I mean,
no, I get you.
Let's look at it from this point of view. You and me, you're leader of this locker room I'm coming into.
Mm.
You've been hitting this. You've been doing things a certain way 5-6 years. This is your locker room. Shit's done your way. You're good with it. I come in with a different philosophy, of an outside fucking philosophy, and you basically say, conform to this or don't expect to get that push. Is that kind of really what you're kind of insinuating here?
No. I'm insinuating the fact that even though nobody said anything, it was obvious the type of physique that Vince wanted to push. And
So
no normal mortal human being can attain that without steroids.
So again, it became a locker room mentality.
Well, is it a locker room mentality when it plays out true all the time?
In that company, yes. But you go to places like fucking Memphis, you go to places like Texas, they weren't fucking all roided up all the time.
We're not talking about there.
But you're making it like the entire world of professional wrestling was in that, when really it was just that company.
No, I'm just talking about that company. The whole panel was just about the WWE. I'm not talking about steroids in wrestling. I'm talking about...
That's really how that conversation was going. Was steroids in wrestling, and then it got niched into WWF, then it got niched into Vince McMahon, and then they got into the Paul Munchnick thing, where they gave their opinions on Paul Munchnick, and then kind of like out of fucking nowhere, knowing Pierce was going to fucking pull this off, he was really getting it pushed into the conversation with Pierce Munchnick, goddamn, with fucking Munchnick, and that's where the rest of the fucking show went, and that's where everything went fucking chaotic, and we'll get to that in just a second. But I see what you're talking about, I do, but to me, I can't just talk about one company and not talk about the rest.
Well, you can, because every company is different. I mean, there was no doubt that the reason he named the company Titan at the time was because he liked giant, beefed up dudes. I mean, if the biggest place in town, like let's just think of it conversely. Let's just say that what if, in order to be in the big time, instead of steroids, you had to be Chris Benoit or Bret Hart or somebody of that size and skill. Don't you think everyone in the locker room would be trying to go that route instead of juicing up? Like it's about what the promoter wants to push. Your livelihood is based on what your boss wants to push. So if you're only getting pushed because you're a big giant roided fuck, because we know Hogan left all of his wrestling skills in Japan.
No shit.
All right, so he wasn't lighting it up in the ring over here. It's like if you weren't Giant, you either had to become Giant or you had to work for someone who didn't pay. You know, like the big time. So to a point, you can say it's a locker room thing, but also to a point, as someone in the locker room, you look around and the only people are in the main event scene are the people that are jacked and cut and monstrous. It doesn't have anything to do with skill at that point. So you're going to have to conform to what's getting pushed, or you might as well go bag groceries somewhere.
Fair point. Fair point.
Yeah, I don't know.
I got you. And I get what I'm picking up what you're laying down.
I know. But yeah, this panel opened my eyes to a couple of things I didn't know. We know most of the stuff.
Yes.
But what shocked me is, I mean, it's obvious that this reporter, it's something personal with him. There's something that he just can't let go of. Something that he's never written a kind word about Vince McMahon his entire life.
No.
But it was interesting to see these guys who were 5 minutes ago talking about how difficult it was to work for Vince McMahon to then immediately take up for him when this guy comes on. It's just an interesting dichotomy to me. And it kind of shocked me because Dark Cordz, was sitting on the couch like getting angry at this fucking guy. I hate Vince McMahon. I fucking hate everything that he's done to wrestlers, to valets. He's a horrible human being.
Yes.
But this fucking guy was so biased and ridiculous. I was like wanting to defend Vince McMahon. And
let's not go too far.
Yeah, I mean, not defend, but like, start to get offended for these guys. And it just shocked me.
Well, I took it as this. Munchnick, in his brain, it's still 1992, the fucking steroid shit going on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all he can think about. And it wasn't just Vince that he was running down. It was the entire company that they work for. Mm-hmm. So essentially, Munchnick was putting WWE in a bad light. At the time, somewhat rightfully so. Let's be honest.
Sure.
But the thing that he just can't let go of is the fact that WWE adapted, redesigned themselves, and moved on. They put in the regulations for steroid usage. They put in the regulation for now CTE since the Chris Benoit incident.
Sure.
So it's not like they didn't learn from it. They learned, they adapted, and they moved on. And this piece of garbage, Munchnick, just can't let that go. And I think Russo, I can't timestamp this because I can't believe I'm gonna fucking say this. I believe Vince Russo when he said that he went to the summit when they went and redid the whole steroid usage thing, and he had all the recordings and shit. He was there because he quoted some shit that I actually looked into, which was true. Where Paul suck my dick Munchnick, I found the article. I'll have to re-find it and send it to you. Went on this fucking tirade, and 85% of what he said was complete and utter false. It was the complete opposite of what was said at the summit.
Yeah.
I left a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, I really did.
Is this how you felt whenever you said you took Corny's side?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah.
It's rough. All right. Well, I don't think we have time for any of that seal shit tonight. We'll save it for next week.
Yeah, buddy.
We're a little overtime, so
Hey, nothing wrong
you
with
want
overtime.
to do the
The
pleasantries?
pleasantries, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you first off for giving us your time, your attention, and hopefully your money. I'm kidding on the money part. Ladies and gentlemen, this coming week, I got to talk to Dark about it because something came up. So we still might be doing talking shit on Thursday night. Might just be pushed back a little bit on time. I have to talk to him about it. So just look onto your social medias, check the TikTok, check the Instagram, check the Facebook, check the Twitter X, check the MySpace, check the AOL Messenger, check AskJeeves.com at this point. I don't fucking know. Look in the sky for the smoke signals. Our Lord and Savior Dark Cordz will have it no later than tomorrow afternoon for the announcement. There you go. That's so beautiful. So elegant. For those of you that are not just listening to podcasts, go to the YouTube, go to an hour, 10 minutes, and just watch how elegant he was. It was fucking beautiful. Ah, there he is again. Yeah. So some people might have been confused about the Nightshade interview due to some scheduling conflicts. We had to move that to November the
2 weeks
11th.
from tonight.
2 weeks from tonight,
2
the
weeks
11th.
from tonight, we will have PW 250 female wrestler Nightshade on, number 141 in the world.
Yep. So that was a scheduling conflict that was on us. We didn't. We had other things coming on, but we got her coming. Let's see, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget about the 2-year anniversary TFK giveaway that will be ending this Friday.
Yes.
No. Let's push it to the following Monday. Let's give them the weekend because it is a holiday weekend.
It is. So if you're unfamiliar, we're giving away 2 of the original Forbidden Kingdom design shirts. We just crossed our 2-year anniversary as a wrestling faction, and we're giving away commemorative shirts. Our very first design, it's us crossing the river Styx. So what you need to do to enter the giveaway is just send an email to heelshitpodcast@gmail.com with the subject line "Happy Anniversary." In the body, just put your shirt size and your shipping address. We will pick 2, and the winners, it's free shipping, free shirt, free everything, straight to your door, no matter where you live. Enter by Monday. If you're listening, just go ahead and enter right now.
Yep. It takes you 30 seconds. It's not going to cost you a dime. It's free merchandise. What do you got to lose?
Absolutely. And also, don't forget to like and subscribe, whatever you're listening on or watching on. Do us a huge favor. And then don't forget what?
The merch.
The merch
is
beautiful.
beautiful. As always, we have Heel Shit Podcast merchandise. We got Talking Shit merchandise with the original trio, Thump Dupree, Dark Cordz, Draven Grimes. Probably giving birth to a baby because that's how it felt at that time. We have the Fuck Logan Paul shirts in the uncensored and the censored ones for the little snowflakes that can't walk around with the word fuck on their shirt. We have original Forbidden Kingdom merchandise. We have retro Dark Cordz. We have retro Draven Grimes. We were working on the retro Rip Ruiz merchandise at this time. We got shirts, we got hoodies, we got tumblers, we got shorts. Still working on the dildo thing. It's been cold. We can't get a cast properly. We're working on it, guys. We're working on it. Unless you want a midget dick, then I can hit you. You can hit me up. I got you. Understand me. And let's see. We did that. We did this. That. Yeah. Real quick. Don't forget November 16th. Forbidden Kingdom rolls into Odom, Georgia, for APW. That's American Premier Wrestling, where Draven Grimes will be debuting in an over-the-top rope battle royal to determine the number 1 contender for the APW Heavyweight Championship, which is a fucking mute point because, as we all know, I don't lose. So I will be your number 1 contender, as well as there may be a second match involved. more details to come on that. And I think that's about it for. Oh, real quick, huge shout out to our boy Rip Ruiz, who brought home the light heavyweight championship for Warrior Breed Wrestling this past Saturday night. Throw the ones up.
TFK.
Congratulations. Congratulations. And with that, my guy, I think I got everything out of the way.
All right. Thank you for that. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Like and subscribe, whatever platform you're on. Definitely helps us out.
And comment, motherfuckers. Comment.
Yes.
We want your questions. We want your comments, queries, insults, whatever.
We'll be back here probably Thursday night. If not, we'll let you know. But for Draven Grimes, I'm Dark Cordz. This has been Heel Shit. Why do we call it that? Bad guys do heel shit. Peace.
Heel Shit Podcast, where the bad boys reign, never following them norms.